Fantastic. All right, well, we're underway. Welcome, everybody. This is Michael Beck. Welcome to Online Marketing Success. And although there's a PowerPoint up here, we really don't have a presentation per se. What really we're going to do today is I am going to interview and pick the brain of Alexa Steele, who is a website wordsmith, and we'll get into what that means in a moment. But I think you'll find some interesting insights into success on the internet, how to improve your website, how to improve your copywriting for your website. And by copywriting, I don't mean the little C with a third circle around it, like how you protect information. I mean writing copy for your website and for various promotions. And I'm recording our program today. I'll make it available. Also, Alexa has been kind enough to offer to share the slides. So if there's anything on the slides you'd like to refer back to without actually going through the recording itself, on the page with the recording that I'll send out tomorrow, you will see a link to download those slides. Let me do one other thing. If you have a question, since I've got to keep everybody muted here, just type in the question box, a question or a comment, and we'll try to address it during our program here. So let's get underway. Like I said, we're going to chat a bit with Alexa Steele, and she is an SEO copywriter and internet marketer. And by SEO, that's short for search engine optimization. And so her specialty is knowing how to write copy in order to improve the likelihood of being found in the search engines. And if you're online and marketing at all, I mean, some of it doesn't rely on search engines, but most of it does. And so it's a really, you can never get too much insight in improving findability on the search engines. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I just threw up a little slide here. These are her, this is her website and her social media profiles. You can write those down. The website wordsmith.com is her main website and blog. And again, she'll have a link to download these slides that you'll get tomorrow. So if you're unable to write this down, just feel free to wait until tomorrow. Cool. So I guess I ought to start off, because she's in the background lurking right now, is Alexa. So Alexa, hey, welcome.
Hi, Michael. Thank you so much for having me.
Fantastic. You bet. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to this because I've developed a lot of websites over the years, and I mean, truthfully, not all of them rank very well in search engines. And so I'm really interested in hearing what you have to say. And we'll have some slides that you and I put together. It's really a framework. We don't have to follow them. But I guess a good, I mean, here's a kind of a framework. We're going to be talking about the whole idea of optimization for search engines and writing copy. We put some ideas on here that I know are bantered around quite a bit. The idea of keyword density. If you've ever done any studying about writing content for your website, you probably have heard about the concept of keywords and the concept of keyword density. And to that end, want to talk to you a bit, Alexa, about your thoughts on how do you write effective copy. And I know you wanted to talk about online and offline. Mm-hmm. And you wanted to bring up a point which I'm curious about, which is how to market yourself online without a website, which is an interesting concept. And your thoughts on significant marketing mistakes people can make online. So is that a fair enough overview?
That's a good summary. I hope we can hit all of those points today.
You bet. Well, if I stop talking, I know we will. So let me start here. I'm going to turn it over to you. So, and it's a good question because it sort of tease up what we want to cover, and that is what exactly is SEO copywriting, and so I'd love your thoughts on it, and maybe we'll talk about how it's different than regular copywriting, right? We're writing copy for sales letters.
Of course. First, again, thank you for having me here, and I wanted to welcome all of our guests, and I really do hope you guys learned something today and you find value in what we have to offer. I am an SEO copywriter. That means I write marketing copy for websites. The content on your website that engages your readers, that gets their attention, gives them value and information, and encourages them to take an action to purchase whatever it is you're offering on the web, which is, as you mentioned, pretty much what copywriting is. However, on the web we have this secondary consideration, which is search engine optimization. And when you're writing for the web, you have to keep that in mind because search engines are such a big part of the web and of marketing yourself on the web.
Now, I want to throw something out here as a question. Honestly, I think when most people hear the term search engine, what they actually hear is Google. They found on Google. So, do you want to comment on? I know, there are many other search engines. There's Bing, there's Yahoo, and actually hundreds of others, very small ones. What are your thoughts about the whole? Do you write for Google, or do you write for every search engine, or are there some sort of rules across the board on that?
Oh yeah, Google is definitely the elephant in the room. They have a huge percentage of the worldwide search market. So yeah, when people talk search engine optimization, it is almost synonymous with Google. But it's not 100%. Yahoo, Bing, they do have a significant share of the market, and you, as a business person, you just want to get found on the internet. You don't really care if it's from ask.com or one of the small engines. So the key concepts, while dominated by Google, are pretty much the same for all the search engines.
Got it. Got it. I know when I look at my my website traffic and where it comes from, as far as search engine-driven traffic goes, Google dominates. What I've seen. They're, I don't know, 75% of any traffic coming from search engines that comes from Google. However, not only are there other small ones, like you said, but sometimes there are search engines or specialized search engines that it's actually better to be found on those because there's less competition and it's more targeted.
Yeah, and targeting is a very key concept that we're going to talk about. Because it's so hard to get found by these general big one-word search terms, you really do want to focus in on targeting a smaller search term. We can go into that a little bit more. What do I mean by search term?
I'm going to put up a slide here that, like, here's a slide. Would this help us put it in perspective?
Sure,
yeah. Term? Okay.
So what is search engine optimization? Maybe we should go back to the beginning. When you're a business person, whether you own your business or perhaps you're a contractor within a larger business, you want to be found by your customers when they go and do a search. So I put in this example on this slide. If you're a realtor who happens to be based in Portland, Oregon, you want your customers to type realtor, Portland, Oregon into Google or another search engine, and for yours to be the very first link they see. They see the link, they click on you, they see your website, they call you up, you have a new customer. That's wonderful. The problem is you're not the only realtor in Portland, Oregon. And so you've got a lot of competition for that space, for that #1 link prized possession. And so what search engine optimization is your campaign to get that #1 spot, whether it's in Google or in Bing or any other search engine. You are campaigning to get that #1 spot. Does that make sense?
It does, and it raises some questions, because I mean, I've studied a little bit of search engine optimization over the years, and search engine optimization is really an umbrella, because there are a lot of things that will help you get to the top. No one thing will get you to the top. It's really a combination. Is that true?
Yeah, there are over, I think the last I heard is there are 200 or more factors that go into the mathematical equation that search engines use to make that determination. So it is definitely not one thing. Some factors are more important than others, but there's a lot that goes into it.
So we're going to focus on the content today, but could you, maybe you can't, but I want to ask, do you have thoughts on what are some of the main things that people can focus on in order to improve their search engine rankings?
Well, content is a big one. Content is huge, especially since earlier this year, Google announced a big change they made to their algorithm. They make changes all the time, but when they make an announcement, you really want to pay attention. And it was called Panda, if you want to Google that. And the Panda update to the Google algorithm is supposed to put a much higher emphasis on quality content. If you've ever done a search and clicked on that first link and found that whatever was there just didn't make any sense, it just was poorly written or actually had nothing to do with what you were looking for, that's the kind of stuff Google's looking to get rid of. They want to knock them down in the rankings. So yeah, having good quality, deep, informational, relevant content on your website is a very important factor in ranking well in the search engines.
Within that Panda update, didn't they also announce that they were going to put more emphasis on freshness of content as well?
That is a part of it,
yes. Okay.
I don't recall. I mean, they're always making updates. It's not like it's a once-a-year thing. It's constant. And fresh content does help your rankings. If you're a news organization like, say, CNN.com, and you're updating your content every 5 minutes, that's going to boost you up in the rankings. Obviously, a small business owner, they're not going to have that kind of team to be developing that kind of content. But weekly, daily updates are also very important, and they're going to help.
I mean, I think it was today that I just read a comment on a newly announced Google update where they're putting yet more emphasis on the freshness of content. And so I really think what you're talking about is hugely important. I mean, I've talked and read about some other factors that over the years people have talked about for getting ranked: backlinks and article publication, and there have been all sorts of gimmicks and things to get ranked, keyword density. But in truth, I think it all comes down to, I think they're, like you pointed out, they're putting more and more and more emphasis on highly relevant and timely content on websites to determine how well they rank.
Well, it's interesting. You mentioned two different things there that I'd like to address. You mentioned backlinks, and the truth of the matter is backlinks are not a gimmick. Backlinks, and let me define that term. When another website creates a hyperlink that brings a visitor to your website, so you're reading an article and it has those words highlighted in blue, and you click on that and say that brings you the reader to your website, those are very important to search engine optimization. Those are perhaps the most important factor in search engine optimization. On the other end of the spectrum is keyword density. This is something that has been around since almost the beginning of search engines. And basically, keyword density is a simple calculation of how many times a particular word or phrase appears on the page. So if somebody is trying to rank well for Realtor, Portland, Oregon, they would just repeat that over and over to get a high ranking in Google. It's not effective, and if you've ever read something where it just sounds weird when somebody's repeating Realtor, Portland, Oregon, blah, 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 Realtor, Portland, Oregon, you know they're trying to up that keyword density, and it just reads poor, it gets poor conversions, and it's not a consideration at all in your search rankings.
Mm-hmm. Hey, someone posed a question, and I don't know whether you'll be able to answer this, but I thought I'd ask it, and I mean I have thoughts on it. Here's the question: is it true that auto posting, in other words, sharing on Twitter, Facebook, social media profiles, now negatively impacts page ranking?
I have not heard that, and I don't see why it would. In fact, from what I've read, social sharing is becoming more and more important in search. I believe it's Bing who has a deal with Facebook to incorporate Facebook shares and Facebook information into search rankings. And if you've ever done a search and seen one of your friends' profile picture underneath a search result, that's social sharing impacting your personalized search results. That maybe is another concept we should bring up.
Yeah.
The search engines are trying harder and harder to make the search results you see personalized just for you. Now, they're still a long way off from this being, everyone gets completely different results every time, but it's something to keep in mind. That's a development that's coming up.
Yeah, let me say a couple of things. First of all, Kathy, to your second comment, that she said that there's a buzz that when the wording is the same in the social media forwarding, that it's being tagged as auto posting. I hadn't heard anything about that at all either. And in fact, typically it's very, very, very common to take some article or something and forward it to the groups that you're part of, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or tweeting it and then retweeting it. So I can't imagine them penalizing people for duplicating that announcement and forwarding it to others. So as far as the personalized Google results, Alexa, I can speak from personal experience. They definitely customize. Google definitely customizes their search results for you, because I can do a search on a search term from my desk and go over to someone else's computer, have them do the exact same search and have completely different results. A third person in a different city gets yet more results. And so I know that they're customizing it partly for geography and partly based on your search behavior in the past.
Yep, they will look at the cookies within your personal search history. And if you visited a site before, that will bump that site up in your personal search rankings. Now, what I mean by it's not fully developed is I have read statistics from people who study this stuff that the difference from one to another might not be as big as it seems. I'm personally not an expert in this area, so I don't know the percentage. I can't give you numbers here, but I do believe it's something that's not, you're not going to get 100% different results from one person to another.
No, but anyway, they do vary. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
But so let's get back to the whole content thing now. I mean, excuse me, like when you say you write content, do you write content to help someone on the main pages of their site, or do you also advise on or write updated content like blog posts and things like that?
My primary source, what I do primarily, is come in when somebody's either first creating their website or they haven't updated their website in a couple years and they really need a fresh face. And I will come in and redo an entire set of web pages. That's not always the case. If somebody feels like they just need one page redone or they just need something new on their website, like they've added a new service, I'll do that as well. And if somebody wants, now, when it comes to blogging, you asked specifically about that. I don't do as much blogging for a couple of reasons. Blogging is very important, and I believe very strongly in blogging. I would encourage every single person on this call who's in business to start a blog, whether you have a website or not. That goes to what we talked about in the beginning about marketing yourself without a website. Start a blog. It's a great way to
why is that?
Well, search engines love blogs. Blogs are regularly updated. They give you a chance to put new keywords on your site all the time. They're a way to promote your business in your own voice. You can relate to your readers. You can have conversations in the comment section. It's just perhaps the quintessential form of internet marketing. I can't tell you how much I encourage you to start your own blog. And a specific blog post can rank well in search rankings, even if perhaps the rest of your site isn't up there yet.
So let me just comment briefly on that, because I know a number of folks have websites, but not everybody has a blog, and they're not quite sure how to do that. It's fairly easy to start a blog, and there are all these either free services that'll host it, or you can install something like WordPress right on or within your own website. And then it's pretty easy to get going in a very basic way. Creating a post is just a matter of clicking on a link, and you type a title for your post and then some thoughts, right? It can be anywhere from 100 words to 1,000 words. Doesn't really matter. And then you post it. I
might encourage you to break the 1,000-word one down to smaller posts, but it could be.
Hey, I've included my articles, 1,000-word articles, in a blog under the category of article. And yet I've done other a couple 100-word snippets on a blog as well. So there's no rule. No. And I guess all I'm saying is with a little initiative, it's not that hard to get one started. And then to keep it going doesn't have to be some big old major effort. You don't have to be a master writer. And like Alexa was saying, it's easy to get noticed by the search engines when you have new content. And that's an easy way to get new content on a regular basis.
And I think what I was trying to say is because it's kind of a way for you to present your brand and relate to your readers, I often encourage my clients to write their own posts, get their own ideas on paper. Then if you need somebody that can kind of polish the writing side of it and maybe help you get those SEO keywords incorporated into it, that's something that I can help them with.
Got it. So I wanted to talk about this slide I put up on the screen sort of as a framework, and it's the points on here are the concept of the copy being very important in search engine optimization. And there's a bullet here that I really would like to spend some time on, that people and search engines each read, and we have that in quotes, read websites differently. They see what a website is in a different way. And so I'd love you to talk about both of those things, or all of those things.
Yeah, we've gone kind of out of order, which we warned everybody we might at the beginning. But that's a key concept. A search engine and the quote-unquote bot that it uses to read websites, the program that actually indexes all of this content from all over the world so that it can pull it up in an instant when you type in your search, they don't technically read the way we do. When we read, we're looking for grammar and syntax, and we're looking for something that's engaging and enjoyable and makes sense. Search engines, while they're getting better at judging those things, it's all really math. They're using algorithms to try to determine what your website is about. And so they need those keywords, the words that somebody might type into a search to know what your website's about. Their job is to match a site to a relevant search, and the only way they can make that match is with those keywords.
Okay, so I have a question here. I mean, I think a lot of us have heard about the concept of keywords. And keywords, and I'm not minimizing it, I want you to expand on it, but this is what I want you to expand on us for us.
Okay.
But we can use my website, Executive Coaching. I can put Executive Coaching within the body of my email or in the copy of my email. But if I do a search for Executive Coach or Executive Coaching, there might be 1 million sites listed.
Yeah.
And so everybody who's in Executive Coaching is including the words Executive Coaching on their website. How do you rise above the crowd?
Well, the very first thing that I would advise you to do is to go beyond executive coaching. You might target a geographical location, like in our realtor example, instead of just targeting realtor, which, oh my goodness, how many results are you going to get? You narrow it down to a realtor in Portland, Oregon, or in Seattle, or wherever it happens to be. So these are called long tail keywords, where you're using 3 or 4 or more words to target, as opposed to just the 1 or 2 words, which are going to be much harder to rank for.
So, you know, if you look, and those of us in internet marketing have tools at our disposal. If you look at the number of searches done, for instance, on, I'll stick with the executive coaching thing. Executive coaching, maybe there are, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, so I'll make some up. Let's say there are 250,000 searches every month done on executive coaching. But if I were to look at the term executive coaching Portland, Oregon, I might only see 400 searches done, right? Because not everybody searches for an executive coach by the city name. So if there are only 400, what, would it be worth bothering with?
That, yes, is the simple answer. Obviously, you don't want to limit yourself and say, just because something only has a few searches, it's not worth it, because if you can rank number 1 for each of those 400 searches, you're golden. I'm not saying that's necessarily going to happen, but you definitely want to target, especially if you're just starting out. It's called low-hanging fruit. The ones with fewer searches, you're going to have less competition for. Fewer people are going to be targeting those same keywords, and it's going to be easier for you to rank. Don't give up on the big executive coach. I mean, it'd be great if you could rank number 1 for executive coach, period. But because the competition for that is so high, it's much better to start off with something with, and it's not so much the number of searches that's important, it's how much competition there is.
Yeah. So you actually brought up a couple of points I wouldn't mind commenting on, if that's okay.
Sure.
You reminded me of another aspect, another factor that Google uses in the ranking that it gives a website, and one of those is the age of a website. And so if you've got a relatively new business, I don't care what you do right, you ain't getting on the first page of Google in the first year. I had a website, and it had a 0 page rank for a full year. No matter what I did, it would not budge. And virtually on the day it went past 1 year, it jumped up to, I think it's a page rank of 3 or 4.
And it's
But
not just how long, if
Go
I
ahead.
may, it's not just how long it's been around, but when you register your website, you can choose if you want to register it for a year or 2 years or 3 years, and that matters too. How long do you think you're going to be around based on your registration?
And I wanted to comment on the other aspect of this. You called it long-tail keywords, which is the main keyword with some other modifiers like executive coaching, and then you add Portland, Oregon. My thinking on it, and I'm not always good at pursuing this, but the thought is that even though there are many, many, many fewer searches done for that, those searchers are highly targeted. And so if someone does find your site based on a very highly targeted search, they're likely going to pick up the phone and call you.
Oh, yeah. That is,
and so I'd rather be found by 400 really qualified people than glossed over by 4,000.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with you there. Part of what I do as a copywriter in general is targeting a specific market segment. Nobody can be all things to all people. And so you as a business person want to pick your market. Who am I marketing myself to? And target all of your marketing to, it might not just be one type of customer, but you want to know who it is you're marketing to. You target your keywords to them. You target your copywriting to them. You target your offers to them. And another point we've made in the slides somewhere is that people are more important than search engines. You need the search engines to get found, but no search engine is going to pay you money. So you have to target everything on your website ultimately to people.
So, okay, let me pick your brain on this a little bit, because you pointed out that search engine bots, the spiders that run through the internet collecting data, read a website differently than a human would look at the words on a page. How do you, I mean, what do you do differently in your copywriting that will allow the spiders, the bots, to get what they need from it and yet have it still make sense to a human reader?
It takes a little pre-planning. You need to know what your keywords are ahead of time, because there's no way you're going to get them in there if you don't know what they are. There are specific places, like let's say what you're writing is a blog post. There are specific places within that blog post where it makes sense to use your keywords so that the bots can find them, but they don't really kind of get in the way of the reader. For example, in your headline, headlines don't necessarily have to be complete sentences. And the same goes for your subheadings. So you can use somewhat less grammatical phrases that include your keywords in your headlines and your subheadings. Lists, like a bullet list, is another good way to get in your keywords without it messing with the sound and the flow of your writing. If anybody wants to chat with me afterward or read my blog, I talk about this repeatedly, about how to use keywords so that they make sense in your writing.
So let me ask this question now. Let's say we've got a number of keywords, right? I'll continue to use me as the example.
Okay.
I mean, I kind of know where I'm going with this, but I make a good example anyway. So let's say I have a business. I want to target executive coaching and executive coaching Portland, Oregon, but I also I want to be able to do executive coaching in North America. I want to do executive coaching West Coast. I want to do executive coaching Oregon, all of Oregon. You know, Do I cram all that onto one page? What do I do?
No. This is why it's beautiful that websites are infinitely expandable. I've read that you can use 2 or 3 different keywords on a single page. My personal preference is to stick to no more than 2, and preferably just 1. So you pick a keyword for your web page. And this is, again, where blogs are so great, because you can target one keyword per blog post. And you don't try to cram all these different variations into it. And since you're not trying to wrangle all these different search terms, you can write much more naturally.
But then, if one blog post, well, let's stay away from blogs for a minute, because not everybody has a blog right now.
Okay.
Let's talk about, is that okay if we just stick to web pages? Because I think it's more interesting and more challenging that way. So I have a website, and I'd love to be able to have, at least improve my rankings on a number of different search terms, and some of them, like you say, are long tail, right? Because I get the idea of the more targeted I can make the search term, the more likely the people who find that term or search for that term will find me the best solution. And I've got 4 different search terms, or 5 or 100. What do I do if you say one on a page? Do I write the same page with different wording and call it, index 1, index 2, index 3?
No, I would definitely not go duplicating your content and just sticking different words in there. You can actually get dinged to a certain extent by the search engines for having that duplicate content, because they recognize that, and they're saying this is not of value to somebody who's searching for this term. They're coming to your website and seeing the same thing over and over again. That's not valuable. One strategy, and there probably are multiple strategies to deal with the same question, but one strategy I would recommend is pick the one that's most important, especially when you're talking about a geographical, like Portland, Oregon, or just Oregon. You pick one, the most important one, and start there. Again, if it's a city and state, the search engines are kind of smart. They do recognize that these terms are related, and it's possible, I'm not going to say, it's hard to rank for things if you don't have the specific term, but start slow, especially if you're just starting out. Pick the most important term, and you can grow your website over time to cover all these other terms. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Was there another point you wanted?
No, I guess what your let me rephrase what your answer is and make sure I understood it. And your suggestion, your recommendation is, yes, there may be 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 different variations or combinations that you could go after, but best to start with one and start doing well ranking in that one, and then work on other variations in the other aspects of your website, either other pages or blog, like you said, blog posts. Was that what you explained?
I would agree. And another thing comes to mind here is the difference in my specialty, which is the writing, and a programmer or somebody who looks at the back end of your website. That is not my specialty. They may have, because the back end of your website does figure into your search engine rankings, and there are places that you can put in more search terms.
I know we weren't going to get it. Yeah, we weren't going to get into that today, but like you said, the metadata. So there's in the background, and we're getting into more technical issues, but in search engine optimization, the keywords, meta descriptions, the meta title, the H1 tags, H2 tags, alt tags on your graphics, and we're not getting into that today.
Right.
Really just talking about
purely the content. If we're talking about the content, stick to one search term. It's possible to get found by a search engine especially for a search term that isn't competitive, saying that one time on your website. It's actually pretty amazing. I have gotten clicks to my website for the search term peanuts because
Why
I
is
use
that?
the word. I wrote a blog post, and I'm sorry to get back to blogging, but where I referred to, people who are barely, all you have to work with are peanuts as far as your monetary, what you have available to grow your business. And I put in a little picture of peanuts, and I used that, it has a little caption, and for some reason I'm getting picked up for peanuts.
That's
and
so
I've seen
funny.
this with some of my clients. If it's a non-competitive search term, you can get picked up pretty quickly.
Very interesting. So I want to talk for a minute here exactly about copywriting. You've kind of alluded to the distinction between writing for the search engine spiders and bots versus for the reader. Could you give us some practical advice on how to write on our website for good readership, and also I think, like you pointed out, if you are natural in incorporating your keywords in your writing, you actually serve both purposes, right?
Yeah.
So like I put up this slide that we had here just as a framework. Could you share with us what you mean by some of this?
Okay. So we start off with focusing on your readers. What I see from people who are not skilled copywriters, from people who have written their own content, they often spend way too much time talking about we, the company. Hello, welcome to our website. We are ABC company. We have ABC products. Us, me, I. And it's all in first person, and it never gets into what the reader cares about, which is them. So in order to talk about what your readers care about, first you need to know what they care about. And this is where social media can be very helpful. You can go out there and look at what people are talking about on Twitter, on Facebook. What are they saying about your industry or even your company in particular? Facebook has a great tool where you can do a poll. You can ask a question. You can get feedback directly from your prospective customers. You can do a survey. There's a service that's a free service called SurveyMonkey. I know it's kind of a funny name, but if you go and look up SurveyMonkey, you can create surveys and do market research on your own. Find out what your customers care about. Or maybe you've been in business long enough, you already know what your customers care about. Talk to the people who come in the door, your existing clients, and write for them. Say, hi, thanks for coming to my website. I know you are looking for an answer to this problem that you have, and here's what we can do to solve that problem. Be personable on your website. Don't write like it's a stuffy paper that you did in school. Write like you're writing an email to a friend, because ultimately business is about building relationships, and in a way you want your customers to be your friends. Maybe not your best friend that you invite over for dinner, but you want them to be, you want your website to sound personable. And I mentioned here that you want to write in the second person as much as possible. This is a quick fix to getting rid of that stuffiness. And
What do you give us an example? What do you mean by writing second person?
That would mean instead of saying we are company ABC and our product is, you say this, welcome to ABC company. Like I was saying, you have this problem. We understand your problem. You're going to benefit from using our product in this way, and this way.
So
help me out.
Yeah, no, what I hear you saying, and I mean, you're absolutely right on the mark. Let me rephrase it a little bit.
Okay.
Rather And I see this all the time where many people will develop a website and it's focused on themselves. They're touting why they're great, what their services are, their scope, their education, their credibility. They're building credibility. And rather than making most of the website attuned to the reader and how it will benefit the reader. So it's more like, so your recommendation is get away from talking about yourself so much on your website and get more into talking about really benefits to the reader. Not only what a person will get maybe logistically. We can use my example as well. So rather than me leading off, I'm a great executive coach. You should use me. I've got lots of experience and lots of education. And rather than do that, and then again, not getting into, here's what executive coaching is all about. We'll work on the telephone, and we'll talk every week, and you know, it's really great, and I've got lots of testimonials. Again, rather than do that, you really want to talk about the person's problem and the benefit of considering executive coaching as a solution. And that's really the
everyone's looking to everyone's looking for an answer to the question, what's in it for me? And you need to answer that. What is in your services for your customer? Why should they care about your services? And they don't care that, I'm sorry, but they don't care that you have won all these awards or you have all this great education. That may be a secondary consideration. That may prove that you're qualified. But first and foremost, they want to know, what am I going to get out of it? What's in it for me?
See, one of the main concepts in writing good copy is it's called FAB, features, advantages, and benefits. And it would behoove people listening, if they're rewriting or rethinking their copy, to understand the distinction between features of their product and service, the advantages of those features, and the benefits, because it's the benefits that really are the driver.
Yeah, and perhaps an example would be, in order here, the feature of being a client of Michael Beck, Executive Coach, might be that you get an hour of consulting. The benefit is, after that hour of consulting, you're going to know how to do something that you didn't know before. That's the difference between a feature and a benefit. The feature is something that belongs to the product, what it does. The benefit is, how does it help the person using it? And I always like to use, I don't know why, but I always like to use car commercials as a good illustration of the whole features, advantages, and benefits. And so a feature of a car might be that it has a certain amount of torque and horsepower. And the advantage of that is you can drive quickly. You can go fast. But the benefit of that is that you get this exhilaration, this feeling of freedom and the open road and the wind blowing through your hair, right? And so if you think about car commercials on TV, they typically don't lead with the horsepower and torque of the engine. What they do is to have this video, this image of people driving down a highway along the coast with the sun setting and the wind blowing and the waves crashing. And it's the feeling that's the benefit. You'll get this feeling if you buy this car. That's the benefit. The advantage is the emotional appeal.
Yeah, you can go faster, and the reason you can go faster is because of the features. But they don't make, generally people don't make decisions based on features. They make it based on benefits.
People are emotional buyers. ultimately, almost everyone, no matter how many rationalizations they make about, oh, this car has good fuel mileage and whatever the other features are, ultimately they're buying it because it makes them feel good. And you have to show them what it is about your product or service that's going to make them feel good or solve a problem for them.
So I just briefly wanted to touch on this last bullet, which is always include a call to action. Can you, just for clarity, give some examples of calls to action?
The call to action is pretty simple, and one example I like to use to kind of illustrate this is if you've ever seen a highway billboard, and we all have because we've all driven down the highway, you see over and over again, exit here. You have a big billboard advertising a restaurant, something to eat. Exit here, turn right. That's the call to action. It's what do I do next? Not, yeah, great, I'm hungry, I want to go to that restaurant. What do? You exit here and you turn left. On your website, it might be a buy now button. It might be, in big letters, call us and your phone number. You got to tell people what to do next in order to take advantage of these great benefits you just told them about.
And it's always interesting how many people actually don't have a call to action. I've been on other sites where you're overwhelmed with calls to action. There's a subscribe button and a blog button and an RSS feed and a call button and a video.
You're absolutely right.
It's just a jumble. And I mean, I'm not saying I'm always the greatest at doing all of this, but I understand it all. And there's an art to it because you don't always want to be in your face with a call to action. Sometimes the call to action needs to be very subtle.
That's true
but
too.
it needs to be there nevertheless. And I've seen this offline as well. I've seen it with direct mail, where people call it direct mail, but they actually just are sending out mail, and it's not direct because direct mail really means direct response mail. That's what it's short for. And if you don't get a direct response from it, then it's a wasted effort. Most don't.
Yeah.
Most don't have a call to action.
Yeah, it's a waste of effort and money. And the reason is because when you're writing your copy, when you're creating your website, you think it's obvious. It's like, well, yeah, of course I want them to buy the product. But people want that buy now button. Make it simple for me. And especially if it's not as simple as putting it in a shopping cart on a website, it's a call us, email us, contact. How am I supposed to contact you? What's the best way to reach you? So you just need to put that one, like you said, only one or at least one major one per page. And it needs to be, what action are you asking your customer prospect to take next?
Beautiful. Well, Alexa, we're almost out of time. I wanted to touch on this last topic that we promised we'd chat about, which is online marketing without really having a website. So would you care to expand on that for us?
Well, the beauty of the internet, and I'll try to go quickly, is that although websites are really the hub of activity, and I would encourage everyone to have one, sometimes for whatever reason you can't. Maybe it's because you are an independent contractor for a bigger company. Maybe you're a network marketer for a bigger company and somebody else controls the website. But you want to stand out within that larger organization. And there's lots of tools you can use to do that. Social media is a big one. Create a Twitter account for yourself. Create a LinkedIn account for yourself. Create a Facebook account for yourself. You don't have to do them all at once because each one takes some time to learn, or go ahead, dive in. But you can market yourself to the other members of these communities, because that's really what they are, and build a brand for yourself on these free platforms that are available for you to get out there, get your name out there, get your brand out there, tout all the benefits of your product, and tell them the call to action, which is call me now so I can help you out.
Yeah, I've seen some very nice and some very clever LinkedIn and Facebook business profile pages, and of course all the social media platforms are free. A blog, having a blog and getting it hosted under like Blogger or something is free. So there's really no excuse for not having an online presence. The other thing, I wanted to go back a few slides because this area right in here. Let's see if I can do a pointer here. There we go. Highlighter, will that work? There we go. There, right there, right there. You can have, if you've got a brick and mortar establishment, you can have a Google Place page, which is also free. It's not really a website, but it's a presence within Google where you can have some basic information and be found right up. And typically, if you've been on Google, these things in the map here are all listed at the very top of the search engine results. And so it really allows you to get found even without any website whatsoever. Really very interesting.
And there are lots of ideas on how to do this. On that other slide, it mentioned email marketing. If you have a list that you already are in contact with, whether they're prospects or existing clients, there are email clients like MailChimp or Constant Contact or Aweber that can let you get in front of these customers on a regular basis without too much effort. But here's where our beware comes in on this slide. In any of these media, the biggest mistake I see marketers and small businesses making is spam. They're constantly touting, buy, shop, pay attention to me, pay attention to me, pay attention to me. And people hate that. You've got spam filters on email, you've got TiVo on TV, and you've got spam blockers blocking up pop-up ads because people don't want that hard sell. But you can build
let me
a
clarify.
relationship.
I mean, I don't consider that true spam. I mean, I agree with what you're saying, but it's actually not spam. It's just annoying, right? It's just like if I mean, it's okay. I don't mind people marketing things to me as long as intermixed in there. I'm also getting content and good insights. I mean, that's part of it. I have to respect that's how they do business. But when someone only sends me promotion after promotion after promotion, I'm out.
Yeah, I think that was the point I was trying to make, and perhaps I didn't do such a great job. But yeah, it's when you don't bother to interact with these communities, whether it's the LinkedIn community or the Facebook community, and all you're doing is sending out your promotions, people get annoyed. They're not interested.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are ways to have an online presence without a formal website, through the social media platforms, through a blog. It's hard to get. I mean, you can develop an email list to market to without a website, but you end up having to collect those manually and then input them into your system. But even these days, getting a domain name and having a website of your own, it's really very, very inexpensive to do. And so if you're truly in business, it's a very, very modest business expense and well worth it. And then if you take Alexa's advice on how to develop the content for that, you begin getting found. And so, you know, Alexa, I have a feeling we could talk for a lot longer, but we're sort of out of time today. We're out of time, and I wanted to put this last little bit up here. Let's see, I've got my little marker going. Hang on, folks. There we go. So I put up the last slide. Look, if you're interested in learning more about Alexa and her work, and maybe how she can help you so you can boost your likelihood of being found in the search engines, get some insights into blogging, social media, writing your own copy in it, visit her at the address that I've got up on the screen here. And being on the call today, which is where the eliciting excellence part of this comes in, you can get a 20-minute free consultation if you want. Not a requirement, but go to www.thewebsite.com/eliciting-excellence.com. And here's just a little bit of trivia. Did you know that after, you see that slash, that /, everything before the /, it doesn't matter whether you make them capital or lowercase or anything, but everything after that actually does matter. So the website.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, it's true. So like I could type the website wordsmith.com all lowercase, I would get there. I could type it like you've put it where each word is capitalized, I'd still get there. But afterwards, if I typed in eliciting excellence and had capital E's, it would not find that. It has to be just the way you typed it. Yeah, it has to be exact. So yeah, a little bit of trivia.
Yeah, so, and if anybody on the call wants to find out how these particular concepts can be applied to their individual business, I am offering 20 minutes as a startup consultation. Then I have consulting packages that they can look at on my website, and yeah, give me a call.
Fantastic.
That's called a call to action.
It is a call to action, and well worth it too. Anyway, thanks so much, Alexa, for your insights and input today. I know a lot of folks were keen on looking for ways to improve how they're found on the internet, and I loved your thoughts on search engine optimization.
Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. Hey, thanks everybody. You're welcome, Kathy. Thanks everyone for being on the call, and look forward to having you on another program in the future. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye now. Yeah, you bet. Bye now.